Today, we are here to examine a deeply concerning threat to our system of free enterprise and competitive markets, the foreign-owned proxy advisor duopoly. Institutional Shareholder Services, or ISS, and Glass Lewis control more than 90% of the proxy advisor market and can sway roughly 1/3 of the vote on any shareholder proposal. These foreign-owned proxy advisors use their power to act as de facto regulators of American companies, dictating the outcome of board elections and major business proposals. They set their own politically motivated agenda and pressure U.S. companies to comply. ISS and Glass Lewis are not regulatory agencies subject to APA requirements. They're not fiduciaries that owe a responsibility to investors, and they are certainly not elected officials answering to the American voters. Yet they have become unsupervised referees for every major corporate decision in America. One negative recommendation from this duopoly can erase millions of dollars in market capitalization overnight. Just ask America's oil and gas producers who have seen their boards reshuffled, or the American manufacturers forced to adopt costly emissions targets not required by any statute or regulation. American companies live in constant fear of a proxy advisor duopoly that owes no responsibility to anyone. Even more concerning, both of these gatekeepers are foreign-owned. The strategic direction of American enterprise is being ghostwritten in other countries, then rubber-stamped on U.S. proxy statements. That should concern just about everyone who's here today who cares about our economic system or America's competitiveness in the global arena. Today's hearing will show how ISS and Glass Lewis wield power in shaping policy entrenched in their duopoly and stifles all competition. Consider their involvement in the climate cartel. This committee has already shown how ISS and Glass Lewis colluded with climate activists, the world's largest asset managers, and international nonprofits to impose radical ESG mandates on U.S. companies. And while this subcommittee has been encouraged by the progress made by asset managers to return to its foundational model, the proxy duopoly remains the largest impediment to ensuring our capital markets are forced on growing America's retirement and investment accounts. Through their recommendations, ISS and Glass Lewis pressure businesses to slash reliable energy production, adopt DEI quotas, and reroute capital away from lawful, profitable endeavors. This is not responsible corporate governance. It is policy making by proxy, and it is putting politics over profits. What is the cost of this activism? Higher prices for consumers, lower returns for retirees, and the distortion of American capitalism. And if that were not bad enough, ISS and Glass Lewis engage in a blatant conflict of interest, selling consulting services to the very companies they issue recommendation against and punishing the ones that refuse to pay. In a mafia-style shakedown, companies are forced to pay for the duopoly's consulting services at the risk of retaliation during the next proxy season. This is not objectivity or sound corporate governance. It is a coerced, pay-to-play system that harms businesses and investors alike. And how do the proxy advisors maintain their market power? They don't just issue voter recommendations. They control the very systems that investors use to vote. Though they're voting platforms, and through those, the ISS and Glass Lewis make sure most investors never see another advisor's recommendations before casting their vote. Rival proxy advisors cannot access these systems, and public companies cannot reasonably avoid them. This is the exact kind of gatekeeping that our antitrust laws were written to prevent. And because ISS and Glass Lewis have complete control over these platforms, they can preload each ballot with their own recommendations. When investors rely on the default settings, as many do, a massive number of shareholder votes move to lockstep with the duopoly's ideological agenda. In practice, that means two private foreign entities can shift approximately 1/3 of the shareholder vote on any given proposal, and it works. In 2022, when the New York City Pension Fund filed a shareholder proposal requesting an audit of Starbucks labor practices, the duopoly lent its support, and the proposal passed with 52%. That same year, ISS and Glass Lewis supported a resolution requesting McDonald's conduct a third-party civil rights audit. That proposal was adopted as well. Congress cannot continue to allow foreign-owned proxy advisors to regulate the practices of American companies. And we certainly cannot allow them to continue strong-arming companies into purchasing their consulting services. That is why I have introduced the Stopping Proxy Advisors Racketeering Act, which would prevent these advisors from offering consulting services on the very recommendations that give them power. I would also encourage our competition authorities at the DOJ and the FTC to take note of this hearing, and consider focusing their attention and resources on studying the potential anti-competitiveness and the effects on this proxy and the effects of this proxy duopoly. Congress must make sure that American corporations answer to shareholders and the U.S. law, not foreign interests. Today's hearing is the first step towards doing just that. Our witnesses today have firsthand knowledge of how this system operates and the effects it has on American businesses. Mr. Sean Egan is the co-founder and president at Egan Jones Rating Company. Egan Jones is one of the few proxy advisor firms competing against this massive duopoly. Mr. Charles Crane is the Managing Vice President of Policy at the National Association of Manufacturers. He represents American manufacturing firms that have experienced the harmful impacts of the proxy advisor duopoly. Mr. Caleb Griffin is an Associate Professor of Law at the University of North Carolina Law School. He has done extensive scholarly work on the corporate governance, proxy advisors, and related systematic reforms. And I want to thank each witness for appearing before us today and look forward to your insights.